So hello, Jerry, and welcome to Powered by Cardano.
Thank you. My pleasure. Apex Fusion is also powered by Cardano.
Indeed, it is. And so, Jerry, for people who do not know you yet, what is your role in the Apex Fusion team?
So previously, I was Chief Commercial Officer over in the Cardano ecosystem before becoming founding member and CEO of the labs called How Late for the Apex Fusion ecosystem. And we just recently delivered our platform. I've put up an image just to help us with our conversation.
So anyway, you set out to create Apex Fusion, what is it now, a year and a half or 2 years ago? So when you started it with your group, what was the mission and what was the approach?
So this was basically that there are two major tech stacks in our industry: the UTXO-based stack that's primarily pioneered by Bitcoin, but really extended by Cardano, and the account-based systems, primarily Ethereum, but also almost every other system in our ecosystem. And there's very little that is marrying the two together. There's not much interoperability and crossflow happening between these two ecosystems. So the idea was to marry these two ecosystems, not only at a liquidity level, but also at a technological level. So what we did was we created a tri-chain architecture that took the best of both worlds. So we went back to the original vision of Cardano and we separated the layers. So in our belief, Cardano is the best settlement layer in our industry with Ouroboros and liquid staking. So we are the first successful fork or copy of Cardano. And we've built our first system called Prime, which we launched in February, which is this settlement layer. And we launched Nexus in the summer, and we just recently delivered Vector. Nexus and Vector are high-speed layer 2s. Vector is a UTXO-based layer 2 with fast finality. And Nexus is a high-speed EVM-based chain based on Polygon Edge. And the way that we've married them all is through a set of bridges. We have our internal bridge called Reactor that routes our tokens between our native ecosystem. But then we have Skyline that bridges over to the UTXO world, and Layer 0 that bridges to the EVM world. Our token lives on Prime. It lives on Vector, on Nexus. It lives on Cardano currently, and it also lives on Base. And that's the general idea. And the initial problem we're looking to solve were the scalability constraints and the liquidity constraints of Cardano. That was the original intent, but of course it's expanded since there. So we also have a stablecoin pipe coming through Stargate in Layer 0 that allows us to bring USDC and USDT into the ecosystem. So that's the general concept. And generally speaking, there's about $2 trillion locked in UTXO-based chains and $2 trillion locked in EVM-based chains, and they don't really take advantage of each other's tech stacks. And one last quick note about the tech. UTXO is more deterministic, more secure. Functional programming is what's used for high assurance use cases. And we recently saw with the Canton network that's getting all this press about all the big deals they're getting with big TradFi institutions. They use the exact same technology stack. They use functional programming in the form of DAML and UTXO. On the EVM side, it is less deterministic. It is less secure than UTXO, but it's highly programmable. So marrying these two technologies is massively synergistic and benefits both ecosystems.
Right. So, well, from what I understand, on the Nexus side, this is very or almost identical to existing Ethereum tech or Ethereum-based tech. Also, maybe
it's based on Polygon. It's based on Polygon Edge and uses the latest Ethereum client. Correct.
Yes. Whereas Vector, as a matter of fact, like you say, it's not a version of Cardano stack, but there have been some significant improvements. So when now a Cardano builder would come over to try and build on Vector, what might they find in terms of, just throwing a couple of words at you, performance, finality, and perhaps also confidence?
Correct. So we already have a first DApp that is on Vector. It's Wi-Fi, the DEX from Cardano. And we're working with them to really explore what we call the Cardano expansion pack. So when they come to Vector, they get faster block time, that's 4 seconds, and they get what we call near instant finality. So Duncan Coutts from Well-Typed wrote a paper and helped us design Vector. And ultimately, the interesting thing about UTXO-based chains is that it does, in fact, have instant finality. But to be more precise, it has instant confidence of eventual finality. So you can really, depending on your use case, make it as fast as you need it depending on your security requirements. So what you get there is speed, transaction costs are lower, and also through our bridging technologies, we'll be bridging over stablecoins. So it creates that ecosystem. And then you can expand outwards into the EVM world, what we call the expansion pack, because what we've done is we've disintermediated the dApp from the token. So the dApp can live on any chain, the token can live on any chain, and vice versa. So once you come to our platform, we've already created the pipes for any dApp to go multi-chain. So currently dApps like WMT, cornucopias, and so forth, they had to do that by themselves. They discovered over time that they wanted to go multi-chain. We built those pipes out of the gate. So you come onto Vector, the investment you made to build on Cardano, you can easily reuse it. You get speed, you get low cost, you get liquidity, and you get multi-chain expansion. That's really the crux of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because when people always use the word ecosystem, but what does it actually mean, right? But in the end, ecosystem is people building stuff on your blockchain when you're really talking about the builders. So
Exactly.
can you just, go ahead.
No, please finish your thought.
No, I was going to say, because you mentioned the Cardano expansion pack and also the role of Y Finance in there. So maybe
Yes.
you want to expand a little bit on the role of Y Finance and how it is that they are a trendsetter in using this new technology, and then how can people interact with or maybe through them in order to get started on Vector.
Correct. So basically, you need the initial primitives to complete an ecosystem. So you need wallet infrastructure, you need Oracle infrastructure, you need your DEX, you need your lending, et cetera, et cetera. So the DEX is probably the most important primitive because that's where you can trade assets. So that's why it's such a primary, really a fundamental pillar of a new ecosystem. Also, the fact Stephen Ward, the CEO and founder of ViFi, is very forward thinking. He really understood what we were trying to achieve. And so ViFi already exists on Vector, but the idea is you can get cross-chain assets. So we already have XADA, which is cross-chain ADA, which will then also can live elsewhere. We have our native asset, Apex, that lives on it, ViFi or XViFi. And we're going to expand it slowly over time to all the other Cardano projects. Maybe we can get Knight on an X Knight, for example. It already lives on Binance Smart Chain, for example. And then you get one place where you can very quickly swap across chains, but still keep the tech stack, which is what a lot of people stay in Cardano, is that they don't trust the EVM side. They don't trust the blind signing and all these kinds of things, right? They want to have their experience on their tech stack because they're convinced it's the best, which we also agree. So, this is where you get the best of both worlds. You get the liquidity, you get the DeFi from the EVM side, but you get the security guarantees from the UTXO and functional programming side. So that's really how that works in practice.
Awesome. Beyond the Cardano expansion pack, what else is in the pipeline for 2026?
So we've also started working on our reputation system, which basically rewards people that use the platform. We'll be expanding that. And right now, we've passed a significant milestone. We've delivered our main platform. So the next step is really expansion of our ecosystem, which means more dApps on our platform. It also means starting to reach out to real world use cases, right? Starting to reach out to businesses and to enterprise and governments and so forth. Because now that hopefully the Clarity Act will pass the United States, and we already have MiCA in the EU and a lot of regulatory clarity, there's a lot of businesses that want to get into this space and they don't know where to start. The big advantage of it is that we're blockchain agnostic, basically. You build on our chain, you can go anywhere else. We don't mind if you build on Ethereum and come to us and vice versa, or Cardano or Litecoin or Bitcoin or Dogecoin. So we're that vendor agnostic interoperable chain, which I think could be very attractive to enterprise and government because we have skills in both sides, right? We have skills on the Ethereum side, we have skills on the UTXO side. It's a very powerful combination for an enterprise or a government, which then brings adoption to our as well. So there's two big threads. There is the traditional dApp, acquisition and expansion, and also real world use cases as well in parallel. And then the final one is expansion of liquidity. So we built this engine meant to swap liquidity across chains. We have to start bringing more and more liquidity into the chain so that it can be useful. Liquidity is the oil of the engine. And so that's the last part of the puzzle. So liquidity, real world adoption, dApps. That's really the 26 roadmap. And that's actually a roadmap going forward, right, for a very long period of time. And then there's also innovation, more generally speaking. Privacy and all these other things, of course, are, will eventually come on our roadmap, but we need to build our base ecosystem before we can get there.
Of course, the technology never stops.
Exactly.
And so for people watching this, what is the best way for people who want to build or get involved with Apex Fusion? What is the best way to get started?
Simple. You can check our website, www.apexfusion.org, or reach out on X at Apex Fusion.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Jerry, for the update, and wish you all the best and a very, very productive 2026.
To you as well. Thank you very much.